What's up, Interweb? RhyQuinn here, and welcome back to the Road to Playoffs interview series. Now, we had Miguel in the last episode, but now we are going with the wildcard spot in the Hoenn Conference today. I am joined by the coach of the Winnipeg Aqua, HankThePidgey. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. What about you? How's it going?
Not bad at all, not bad at all. Thank you very much for asking. So, first things first, congrats on making the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Just kind of squeaked in there.
Yeah, just about.
Almost let that go.
Yeah. But you got to be pretty happy considering this is, your first season in GBA. You excited to be in the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like a lot of the guys in the playoffs are obviously guys that, again, I looked up to and, watched the past couple seasons. So it's going to be, it's going to be tough for sure. Long, hard road ahead. If we even, can make it past Mulvone. He's beaten us before, and we've beaten him before, though, so hopefully we can keep that going. But, yeah, I've got Miguel potentially in the way, and then that's just on our side, so that's not to say anything of the other conference. So, yeah, exactly. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, always is. I mean, playoffs is obviously the best of the best, so I don't think anyone has it easy in the playoffs, per se.
For sure, for sure.
But looking back at the start of the season, did you think at the start of the season you'd make the playoffs?
I thought I would. I thought I had a good chance. If you would have asked me about halfway through the season, I would have said, nope, I'm probably done. But somehow we clawed it back. At the beginning of the season, that's where you have all the, the hopes and dreams and all that. And then some matches actually happen and stuff can change. And yeah, I think at the beginning though, I had a pretty positive outlook on the whole thing, thinking that I had a chance to at least make it. So yeah.
No, that's fair enough. And obviously you've had a pretty mixed season, finishing it was 6-4. So are you happy with how you performed this season overall though?
To be honest, I'm not really. I think part of the problem was I ended up being a lot busier just with real life stuff than I thought I was going to be. And aside from that, I think when I was in that slump, it really hurt. It was really hard for me to turn it around. I mean, prior to losing 6-0 to Cooper, I hadn't really lost a real match in the format. So I definitely was every week it was I have to put 100%. Once I lost to Cooper, it was okay, well, as long as I can kind of win out most of the rest of the season and make playoffs, that's really all that matters. I don't have to worry to put so much pressure on myself. But looking back, that pressure was good. It made me prepare. I would say my average preparation time has went down, which is not a good thing. I should be going up. But I was having trouble finding a lot of time. I've been, especially the last month or so, I've been traveling and stuff and doing stuff like that. So I haven't been around as much, so it's been really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's hurt me. There's been games that have been closer than I think they should have, and I haven't been playing as consistently as I feel I have in the past. But that's on me, and that's up to me I'm the only one who can really have any control over that. But that said, I mean, I still gave my all when I battled, and I mean, looking back at some of the matches, there'll be plays and stuff that I don't agree with that I made at the time, but at least I'm able to recognize them and correct them for later matches. But overall, I guess I'm satisfied. I'm not. I feel like I could have done a bit better, but I guess overall, I'd give myself a solid 70% or something like that if I was grading myself.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. A solid 70%. So. It's not the worst. It could have been a lot worse.
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean that 3-week stretch was really tough. Yeah. I got really down and I struggled with motivation. Once I got the win over Mulvone, that helped a lot. Just to, I'm not just gonna lose the whole rest of the season. So that was good. But.
Yeah. If there was one thing in particular then that you think you could have improved, if you could go back, what do you think it would be?
I think a lot of the biggest things. I find a lot of the matches I lost, it was because there was, 1 or 2 mons that I just underprepared for. This week against Shady was a perfect example. I said to myself, this Milotic's going to be a problem. I'm pretty sure I even say it in my team preview. It's if you're saying that, why don't you have more answers to it? If I'm acknowledging, I don't know. So I would say that's my biggest thing is I'll have these times where I'm like, okay, this mon is going to give me lots of grief, but then I'm thinking, oh well, I'll just hack away at it. Well, it's not so simple, especially when they have reliable recovery like Melodic. So
Hmm.
I think stuff like that was my biggest problem, just not preparing for everything, which is, again, I don't think that was a trait that I had before. I think I usually had everything covered. And it's hard to compare from, previous formats or previous leagues when I played, because I had a different team and
Hmm.
different players. So it's hard to compare, but I just feel like though most of my losses, it was because, either something didn't go my way hacks wise. I have to say I did not have luck on my side this season. I think I had one instance where hacks worked in my favor and impacted the match, and that was that flinch against Nips with
Hmm.
my Excadrill and the
Yeah.
Iron Head. I think that was the only instance of hacks that helped me. I've gotten crits and stuff, but every crit I've got, I've gotten two against me. So,
Yeah.
hacks is a thing. So whatever, that's part of the game. You have to account for that. But yeah, overall, I think my preparation, I should have been putting more time in, but it's hard when the time isn't always there.
Yeah.
So
No, that's fair enough. But hopefully you can, rectify that when it comes to the playoffs and things like that. As long as you learn from your
exactly,
mistakes, they're not really mistakes anymore, are they?
for sure, sure.
So looking at your team, obviously it changed a couple of times during the season. But who do you think on your team was your overachiever? Which Pokemon did more than you thought it would for your team?
Did more than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's tough because, like, Pinsir obviously is going to come to everyone's mind, but I think Pinsir was expected to do well.
Yeah.
Everyone expected Pinsir to do well, and it did well. I think I don't know. I'm trying to think here. I brought pretty different mons every time. I used every mon at least one time. I would say probably something like, I didn't plan to use Excadrill as offensively as I have been,
Hmm.
which sounds kind of weird, but I knew a lot of times I'd have to run it like bulkier and stuff to use it
Hmm.
as like a spinner, or like, to set up rocks even, which is unfortunate when you have to throw rocks on Excadrill, but it
Yeah.
happens sometimes. But Excadrill put in a decent amount of work. And then defensively, Umbreon too. I really liked. I had never actually
Hmm.
used Umbreon before this season, and I've really enjoyed Umbreon. And it's I love, obviously, I love the baton pass set. I love being able to get the slow baton pass off, especially when I have a frail team and it's hard to get some of my other members in. So I think Umbreon provided a lot of like valuable support for my other mons and helping me get, favorable matchups with switches and whatnot. So probably Umbreon is the one that
Hmm.
surprised me the most, I would say.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that one actually. Yeah, I really enjoyed your use of it with, as you said, the slow baton pass. I feel like you particularly used that really well, which was very nice to see. Um, Conversely, then, who do you think in your team was your underachiever? Who didn't do as well as you thought?
I'm gonna catch heat for this. No pun intended. Ape. Ape is definitely the one. I mean, the thing is I had too many mons that they had similar structures. They were very versatile, but very frail,
Hmm.
very fast. I had too many mons like that. And that was my biggest thing. When I faced bulky teams, I had problems. Like I didn't have I aside from Mega Pinsir, I didn't have anything that just was super powerful with a lot of like offensive presence, and I had a lot of just, jack of all trade mons, but
Hmm.
really I had too many of those. I mean, that's why I think Mamoswine was a good pickup. It's not nearly as versatile as a lot of, as like say Infernape or Tornadus or anything like that, but it's hits a lot harder and it does what it does well. And I think I needed more things like that. Um, but I would say Ape kind of let me down. Almamola let me down too. Didn't really. In theory, the Regenerator Core is good, but Almamola is the kind of the opposite problem as Ape. It does one thing well, but when you see that thing coming from a mile away, it's really not that good. It
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, as soon as the sub Gallade thing happened, I was like, oh geez, how am I going to bring this thing again? And yeah, it doesn't have the greatest move pool ever for sure. And that's, I mean, I knew that drafting it, but yeah, probably one of those two. I mean, Ape, I have to look at it too. Ape was pulled from a small pool, and I didn't really have a lot of other options anyway. So I don't feel like Ape was necessarily a wasted pick because I needed something from that tier anyway, and I
Yeah.
didn't really like much in that tier. Had I had another Stealth Rocker earlier in the season, I think Ape would have been able to shine a little bit more. I kind of had to shoehorn it into the Stealth Rock role every week, and that obviously. I mean, if you look at it from that way, getting rocks up is pretty big, but forcing Ape to do that every week kind of prevents it from doing really much else, especially when it takes one hit and it's basically dead. So yeah, Ape unfortunately was one of the ones I had a bit higher hopes for. So
Yeah, well, especially with your success with Infinite in previous leagues.
yeah,
Yeah, would have been nice to see it do a bit of work, and also because it was on my PPL team. But whatever. So looking back over the whole season, then, which match do you think was your biggest challenge in your view?
biggest challenge, Cooper's team.
Yeah,
I I mean, Shady had melodic, which was hard for me to break, but Cooper had like five melodics. So,
yeah,
yeah, my team just didn't work well against Cooper's bulk. To top it off, I didn't plan my best that week. Cooper's a great battler. Um, I learned a lot battling him. I don't think the result would be the same if we played again. I don't know if I'd win, but I don't think it would be a 6-0. Um, Cooper was really tough. Um, yeah, I would say Cooper probably was
yeah.
probably the toughest, and then probably Shady next.
hmm
Shady has a really good team. It's a lot of bulky offense, and he has some really fast mons too. And he's just been playing it perfectly. He played really safe against me, and that's all he really needed to do. He didn't take any big risks or anything, and that was the correct thing to do. So, yeah, Cooper or Shady probably I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and that obviously tells from the scorelines as well. You can tell they
Yeah.
were your biggest challenges. So looking at the whole season, there are three teams that you haven't played yet, and all three of them are actually in the playoffs. That being the Real Madrid, New Orleans Pelicans, and the St. Louis Rampados. Those are the only three teams you haven't played yet during the season. So, looking at every team that you have played, which team would you like to play again?
Which team would I like to play again?
hmm
Um, I think Mulvone's going to be fun.
Yeah,
Playing back to back was really interesting, and we even had a preseason match too. So this will be like the fourth time we've played in this format,
yeah,
and it's actually it's kind of fun. Like when you play someone the second time, it's stressful, but once you've already played someone like multiple times, it's like, well, what are they gonna bring this time? Really, like I don't know. I think that's gonna be. I think I'm actually looking forward to playing Mulvone. I feel like we always have pretty like decent matches with like bringing some cool sets and stuff like that. I really like the Mismagius set I brought against them, and
hmm
I really like the Gallade set he brought against me. So I'm looking forward to playing Mulvone again. I think that'll be a fun battle.
yeah. No, that's awesome. And as you just mentioned, like you're saying your first match in the playoffs is against Molvone, and you said you played each other well, not even twice, really three times, including that preseason one. One win, one loss is going to be a really really close match. But other than the Cincinnati Loudreds, if you manage to beat them and you progress, you're going to be facing Miguel. Then after that, you can be facing any one of Shady or John or Dan. How do you think you're going to fare? Like, have you got plans for any of the other teams yet, or
Ugh.
have you thought that far in advance?
Not so much. I mean, a little bit, a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Look at the trades I was making. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew Mamoswine matched up well against Movone. I knew it matched up well against Miguel, and I'm gonna need all the matchup. The best matchup I can get against Miguel because he's pretty much agreed upon by everyone to be the best battler in the league and one of
hmm
the best preparers. So, if I can make it past Miguel, I will be obviously on top of the world. But that's gonna be if I can make it past Mulvone and I can, and I am facing Miguel, it's gonna be super super tough. I know that. Of the other teams, I feel like team matchup wise, I probably have the best matchup against Dan. I
hmm
think I would say. Um, his core doesn't scare my team too much, like especially Mega Pinsir.
Yeah.
He can break through both of them pretty well, the Chansey and the Mega Sableye. So uh yeah, if I can get past Miguel though, that'll be an accomplishment in itself. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see how that goes.
Yeah. And I think the final question that I've just got for you today, I think the most important one as well, is are you going to be crowned the GBA Season 4 champion?
Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, the first goal is always make playoffs, and hey, we're here. We almost didn't make it, but now we there's not really any place for those missteps anymore. It's we gotta do what we're gonna do, and I think it's possible. It's gonna be tough though. There's a lot of good players left, but it is definitely a possibility.
Hmm.
Uh, we'll have
Well,
to see how it goes.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you do, as well as obviously everyone else in the playoffs. But that's going to wrap up this interview. So thank you very much, Hank, for coming on and doing this interview.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, and best of luck in the playoffs.
Thank you very much. We're gonna need it.
Yeah. So thank you very much for watching another Road to Playoffs interview. Stay tuned for more coming very soon, and I'll see you guys in another video shortly. Toodaloo.